What's wrong with you?
It's nothing. It's just a headache. I've been having them on and off for a little while now.
A while? Exactly how long is a while?
They started back when I had that visit with Diva.
You mean that demon you worked with on the Phantom of the Opera?
That's the one. Ever since then, I've been having them more frequently. It's been getting a lot worse ever since then.
Yeah, maybe it's a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
Okay, Arnold. We're here to play poker. What do you got?
I got 4 aces.
Wait a minute. Wait.
What?
You have won the last 5 hands. Normally, you suck at poker. We always win, and now you're freaking some card shark. What the hell's going on?
What are you implying, Chris?
Yeah, Chris. What are you saying?
I think you know what I'm saying. Somehow you're giving yourself some little kind of advantage.
Think I'm cheating? Really? You think I'm fucking cheating?
Yeah, it's kind of suspicious. You are terrible at poker. We always win. What the hell am I supposed to think?
Maybe I got lucky?
Yeah, right.
Alright, look, Chris, you're starting to piss me off.
Oh no, I've made him angry. What are you gonna do, Hulk out on us or something?
No, but I've got better things to do than put up with this bullshit. Fuck you.
Dude, what the hell was that all about?
Not my fault, he's a cheating asshole.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Judge of Character. As always, I'm your host, Steve. Now, when it comes to telling a good story, there are a lot of elements that are important, such as settings, plot, characters. But one of the most important elements of any good story is conflict. All the best stories have it. In fact, conflict has been one of the most common elements of storytelling, well, for as long as storytelling's been around. Hell, even the classic fairy tales have conflict in them. Conflict comes in multiple flavors. You've got versions such as man versus machine, man versus nature, and the ever-classic version, man versus man, which has its own categories such as general versus general, brother versus brother, or even father versus son. Then there's the man versus himself category, which is a whole other level of interesting. This is a form of conflict most often used to show how we are often at war with ourselves. Usually this is figurative, but sometimes it does become literal.
What the hell are you doing? I'm kicking my ass! Do you mind?
I love that movie. Anyway, there have been numerous characters over the years who have had the whole man versus himself trope as their central theme, and it's not hard to see why. We struggle with ourselves all the time over all sorts of things, some minor, some not so minor. So it's great to see a fictional character who actually has to deal with some of the same problems we deal with on a day-to-day basis. However, the character we're looking at tonight, well, it's a little different with him, because in his case, the struggles are a bit more, well, difficult. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're learning more about the Incredible Hulk. I was inspired to learn more about the Hulk after my last episode, which focused on She-Hulk. Surely, with as complicated She-Hulk proved to be, Hulk himself would prove to be just as complex, right? Absolutely, just not exactly the same way. Hulk is a great modern-day example of the whole inner conflict, even if his conflict ends up becoming physical. While it is one character, it's actually two sides to the same coin that eventually come together to create one whole that cannot be ignored. So, who is the Incredible Hulk, and what is it that makes him so memorable? First appearing in 1962 in The Incredible Hulk #1, the Incredible Hulk is the superhero name for Dr. Bruce Banner, a scientist who specializes in gamma radiation. One day, during the testing of a new experimental gamma bomb, Banner notices a young man has wandered into the test area. He rushes in and manages to push the boy out of the way, but is subsequently hit with a massive dose of gamma rays, which promptly knock him out. Banner later awakes in the infirmary, seemingly no worse for the wear. But that night, he transforms into a massive gray thing that lumbers through a wall and out into the world. Thus is born the Hulk, a big green rage monster who appears whenever Banner becomes stressed or extremely angry. But that's just the in-universe theory. The Hulk was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby for Marvel Comics after taking inspiration in the form of Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Lee also has made comparisons to the legendary Gollum of Jewish myth. But possibly the most interesting thing about the Hulk and his creation is how he was essentially a knee-jerk reaction of sorts to the Cold War and all the use of nuclear energy. This was at a time when a lot of people weren't too sure of the effects of nuclear power, many of them still thinking about the A-bomb and the horrors it caused, as well as the general idea that nuclear power had the ability to produce monsters, a la low-grade B-movies from the 1950s.
Oh no, the giant ant is attacking. If only we hadn't relied on nuclear energy. What has science done?
Now, there's more to this character than just the iconic and meme-worthy Hulk Smash! You remember what I said earlier about how the character is a great modern-day example of inner conflict? We'll keep that in mind because it's actually going to be very important as I talk about the character later on throughout the night. So, with that said, let's not waste any more time. Let's find out what makes the Incredible Hulk memorable. And as always, let's start with the personality. While the personality of any character I look at on here is important, it's doubly important in this case, no pun intended. The reason for this is that while it is essentially one person we're talking about here, there are two distinct personalities. The first is that of Bruce Banner, a mild-mannered genius who, even before the accident that turned him into the Hulk, is withdrawn and somewhat cynical. This is made even more apparent afterwards, as he is now constantly living in a state of fear and near panic due to his tendency to, well, lose his shit. Because of this, Banner has a hard time forming meaningful social bonds, since he's in fear of what kind of damage the Hulk will do. And not just on a physical scale. However, Banner's fractured psyche was there long before his rendezvous with gamma radiation. Abused as a child by his father, Banner developed a psychological complex involving fear and anger. This is an element that plays into his interactions with the Hulk, as well as further driving home the theme of inner conflict. As for the Hulk, he's the living incarnation of pure emotion, often rage. Appearing whenever Banner is stressed emotionally, the Hulk is a much more simple being in terms of personality, a reference to the base nature of our emotions and feelings in their raw state. So you see, Banner is the scientist. He's the brain, the logic, the Dr. Jekyll, whereas Hulk is rage and passion, the heart, Mr. Hyde. Two sides of the same coin that come together to create something memorable. This is actually one of the biggest draws of the character, is the interplay between the two personalities. On the one hand, when he's calm, you have a nice guy who's like any other person, like you or me. But when he loses his shit, watch out. Which makes me wonder, had he ever tried any form of anger management? Like, I don't know, yoga maybe?
Oh!
What?
Hey, enough of that!
Maybe not. What the?
Where am I?
Who are you?
You don't recognize me? I've only been here almost 26 years.
Sorry about that, folks. I don't know what that was. Where was I? Oh yeah, personalities. So, one of the big draws of the character is how the personality or personalities interact with each other. But is that the only thing that's memorable about the character? I mean, what else is there to talk about? Perhaps his being a badass. It goes without saying that the Hulk is a friggin' badass. When you're a massive green rage monster whose strength increases as you get madder, you tend to get that reputation. So instead of simply saying why the Hulk is a badass, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. The first is from the story arc World War Hulk. Taking place during the Civil War story arc, where heroes are forced to take a side in regards to the Superhuman Registration Act, WWH is about Hulk returning to Earth after having been exiled to a faraway planet where he actually had found some semblance of a peaceful life, only to have it ripped away from him. Blaming the people who exiled him in the first place, which included the likes of Tony Stark and Mr. Fantastic, Hulk returns in order to open a whole crate of whoop-ass. This included one-on-one fights with numerous heroes, forcing heroes into gladiatorial combat, and generally creating one of the biggest messes NYC had seen yet. But that's only one example. There's another one that occurs in Incredible Hulk number 300. In that issue, it's literally Hulk versus everybody. That's right, in issue number 300, Hulk goes on a rampage and starts tearing through New York and everyone who stands in his way. By the way, that list of people who try to bring down the Hulk includes the Human Torch, Iron Fist, Power Man, S.H.I.E.L.D., and even the Avengers, including friggin' Thor. And Hulk beats the tar out of them all. In the end, Hulk is only stopped when Doctor Strange manages to whisk him off to another dimension. Seems like the only way to definitively stop the Hulk is to exile him. Too bad that doesn't seem to work all that well. However, those are only examples involving the Hulk. What about Bruce Banner? Banner also has his own badass moments, but unlike the Hulk, Banner's moments are more cerebral, involving technology. In fact, he ended up creating his own form of technology, Banner Tech, most of which was meant to counteract the damage caused by the Hulk. This included things such as shields and teleporters and even robots. This isn't surprising considering that Banner is one of the most brilliant men in the Marvel Universe, right alongside Reed Richards and Dr. Doom. But when it comes to radiation and its effects, Bruce Banner is unparalleled. See? More proof that nerds are awesome! Now, as with any other character who's been around as long as the Hulk has, it's inevitable that there's going to be some adaptations, and in Hulk's case, that's the absolute truth. Now, I will point out that of all the adaptations there have been, the only one I have personal experience with is the one played by Mark Ruffalo in The Avengers. Everything I say after this point, as far as the adaptations go, it's all based on research and not actual personal experience. So, bear with me. The very first adaptation of the Hulk came in 1966 as part of the Marvel Superheroes animated series. Not much to say about this one really, other than it gave us this interesting intro.
Dr. Bruce Banner, melted by gamma rays, turned into the Hulk.
Ain't he unglamorous?
Wrecking the town with the power of a bull.
Ain't no monster clown who is as lovable
As ever-loving Hulk. Hulk.
The second adaptation, and arguably the most famous, was the 70s series starring Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk and Bill Bixby as David Banner? David? Oh yeah, I forgot. Some of the people at CBS thought the name Bruce was... How do I say this without sounding like an asshole? Well, they thought the name was kind of... But despite this and a few other changes, this was one of the better received adaptations of a comic book character, with the show faithfully sticking to some of the major elements of the original comics, including the turmoil Bruce goes through with regards to the Hulk. It's no wonder that this show is so fondly remembered from those days, right alongside the Wonder Woman TV show and the Superman films that were coming out around the same time. In fact, the 1970s actually seemed like a pretty good time for comic book characters in general. Scratch that. The next adaptation came in the 1980s. This is another one not really worth talking about. It only ran for 13 episodes, and, well, that's it. Nothing else to say. It existed. But the next adaptation came in the 90s and did a much better job of adapting the Hulk. Kind of. Back in the 90s, there was a brief boom of popularity for Marvel on the small screen in the form of animated shows based on their characters, including X-Men, Iron Man, and of course, Spider-Man. Naturally, Hulk got in on the action with The Incredible Hulk. The show ran for 2 seasons and featured Lou Ferrigno taking up the voice of the Hulk, but other than that, there really wasn't much to talk about with the show. Then again, I contribute this to me being a fanboy of Spider-Man and X-Men at the time, so... Anyway, Incredible Hulk wouldn't get another adaptation until about 2003, when The Hulk came out, directed by Ang Lee. Oh shit. What can I say about this movie? It was divisive, to say the least. I imagine much of this came from the changes that were made to both the character and its origin, but since I never saw it, I can't say for certain. Either way, I think this clip from Robot Chicken almost certainly shows the general consensus for this movie.
It surely will not be huge flop that ruined my career. Surely.
It stinks.
Since the first cinematic effort didn't do so well, Hollywood followed it up with a reboot, surprise surprise, in 2008, this time starring Edward Norton as Banner. So how did it do? Well, it did fare better than the first film, but not by much. The general opinion here was that it was better overall, but the animation of the Hulk himself left something to be desired. Still, it was better than the 2003 version. Oh god. For a while there, it seemed as if fans of the Hulk just weren't going to get the cinematic adaptation they deserved. But then, in 2012, one man, gave the world a gift that would unite the great Marvel characters into one film, while at the same time also giving us the best cinematic version of the Hulk we'd seen yet. And that man's name was Joss Whedon. Oh, not that shit again! As I said, this is probably the best version of the Hulk and Bruce Banner we've seen on film yet. Played by Mark Ruffalo, this version of the character shows pretty much the best elements of both Banner and the Hulk. The moments where he's Banner are moments filled with a degree of angst, tempered with dry, sarcastic humor, while the moments where he hulks out are nothing but classic Hulk. So far, this is perhaps the best adaptation of the character to film, at least in my opinion. So with all these adaptations under his belt, both good and bad, it's not hard to see that the Hulk has been very popular over the years. But what is it that has ensured that popularity? From what I can gather, the explanation is twofold. On the one hand, there is the obvious action elements of the character. The Hulk is a badass who gets into a lot of fights, and all of that makes for great storytelling, especially in comic books, where the primary form of entertainment is good guys and bad guys scoring off against each other. However, I feel like the biggest draw to the character is the more complex personality elements that occur in regards to Banner and the Hulk. When you get right down to it, the Hulk is a physical manifestation of all of our internal struggles. All the emotions we feel in our everyday lives, the ones that we hold in order to be polite, are brought out in the form of Hulk, who doesn't give one damn about manners. It's kind of like those jokes you see about what you do versus what you wish you could do.
Hello?
Hello, am I speaking with Mr. McCool?
Yes, this is he.
Great. Can I interest you in our fine line of penis growth products? We have everything you could possibly want to grow your love hammer to lady-pleasing proportions, from oils to pills to pumps. We can grow your wang in every possible way imaginable. Want length? You got it. Girth? It's all yours. All you have to...
Hello?
Hello, am I speaking with Mr. McCool?
Yes, this is he.
Great. Can I interest you in our fine line of penis growth products? We have everything you could possibly want to grow your love hammer to lady-pleasing...
Don't we all wish we could do that? So, to sum up, The Incredible Hulk is, well, incredible. Between all the action sequences and the character development that's happened over the years, it's not hard to see why the character has been as popular as he has. Even if the adaptations are a little lacking, don't let that throw you off from enjoying this character. Go forth and find more comics of the character. Who knows? You might actually become a fan. In any case, I'm your host Steve, reminding all of you to stay in character.
Who are you? What the hell? Feeling dizzy?
Rest in peace, Steve. I'll take care of everything.
Ha 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 ha!